Well, I think it's interesting to compare how constitutions, new constitutions, post-Soviet constitutions in Russia and Ukraine were adopted. In Russia, it happened in 1993, after confrontation between President Yeltsin, who was considered at that time as Democrat, and, well, past-leaning kind of pro-communist Russian parliament. So there was this confrontation which resulted actually in assault on the Russian parliament, and Yeltsin used tanks for that. So the Russian parliament was shelled. Well, I'm not going into details here again, because politically it was understandable that Russian parliament was too conservative, too Soviet-oriented. But how it was done by force. It was dispelled, and then the constitution, the draft of the constitution was adopted on referendum, not in the Russian parliament. And basically the result was that the Russian constitution since 1993 is very authoritarian. It concentrates too much power in the hands of president, at that time President Yeltsin, but it doesn't matter, because basically you have the same constitution right now, whereas the power of parliament and cabinet of ministers is neglected. In contrast, the Ukrainian constitution in 1996 was approved as a compromise between President Kuchma and Verkhovna Rada. It was approved within Verkhovna Rada. It was also a compromise between different political orientations within Ukrainian parliament. And that's why the constitution in its edition of 1996 was also in favor of president. It was quite strong president, but nevertheless, it was quite balanced, because the president, in fact, didn't have the right to dissolve the parliament, and the parliament could oust prime minister and the cabinet. So from the very beginning, the constitutional design of Ukraine and Russia, they were different. And even under President Kuchma, even under Yanukovych, this design created possibilities for quite strong role of the opposition and for potential transformation. The constitution is, after the constitutional reform of 2004, created a very European design. So we have now the government which is approved according to the results of the elections, and the government relies on majority in the parliament. So this is quite European design. Why do we have these differences? Well, actually, it's also connected with the whole Ukrainian history. The history is different of Ukraine and Russia. The political culture is different. In Ukraine, you have traditions of self-government. You have Magdeburg law. There are traditions of democracy in Ukraine. Ukrainians never liked authoritarianism since the time of Cossacks, and political culture, as I have said, is different. So our political culture is more inclined towards compromises. Ukrainians are more individualistic. They do not believe in Messiah. And this all created historic backgrounds why Ukrainian constitution differs so much from the authoritarian Russian one.